Hi, and welcome to the Art of Film Funding. I'm your co-host, Claire Papin, along with writer-producer Carol Dean, author of the best-selling book, The Art of Film Funding, and host of this show. Carol is the president of From the Heart Productions, a nonprofit organization that has supported filmmakers with the Roy W. Dean Grant, fiscal sponsorship, education, and resources for over 30 years. Carol also teaches the Learn Producing class. Each class features an industry expert guest instructor and is designed to give the information, guidance, and support to become a successful producer. You can learn more about this class and all of From the Heart Productions offerings at FromTheHeartProductions.com.
We cover successful crowdfunding techniques with Emily Best of Seed&Spark.
Our very special guest, Emily Best, is the founder and CEO of Seed&Spark, a platform that makes entertainment more diverse, inclusive, connected, and essential. Seed&Spark's platform and national education program have helped thousands of bold storytellers raise millions to bring to life entirely new stories. And Seed&Spark delivers those stories into workplaces for employee training, engagement, and intelligence through an enterprise-leaning platform, Film Forward. In 2023, CNBC named Seed&Spark one of the top 200 fintech companies in the world. She serves on the advisory board for a variety of early stages startups and the board of Film Impact Georgia. In 2024, alongside Christy Marchese at Kinema, Emily spearheaded an effort to launch the Distribution Playbook, a free and open-sourced field guide for independent filmmakers to succeed in distribution. She's produced films, VR, shorts, and series that have premiered at Sundance, South by Southwest, Slamdance, Tribeca, and more. She's currently touring with a feature documentary she produced called RATIFIED, about the 100-plus year struggle for the Equal Rights Amendment. And Carol, you've supported Seed&Spark since they started.
Yes, Claire, I know that Seed&Spark takes really good care of filmmakers. And Emily, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, you've built Seed&Spark into one of the most trusted crowdfunding platforms for independent filmmakers. So tell us what inspired you to start the company.
Well, it was my own problem, of course. I was trying to make a feature film about women friendships. This is now, 13, 14 years ago, where it was rarer that films about women friendships were getting made at all. And we were facing down a lot of the industry biases that I think everyone faces, which is that we were trying to tell an unconventional story in an unconventional way, and we were told that it wouldn't be good for distribution, there wouldn't be an audience for this movie. And we knew there would be an audience for this movie because we were making the movie because we as the audience felt underserved. And we knew there were more people like us. And so, Kickstarter and Indiegogo were relatively new to the marketplace, and we didn't know that they could be trusted yet. And so we decided to take inspiration from them. But I also have a cousin who's like one of the most remarkable humans named Charles Best, and he started a platform called Donors Choose. And Donors Choose is a place where teachers can go to effectively like crowdfund school supplies and class projects. honestly, it's very sad that it has to exist, but it is a wonderful, incredible resource, and hundreds of millions have been raised for education on that platform. But what I loved about Donors Choose is that you listed the actual items that you needed so that your funder could see exactly what it was that they were funding. And so we took inspiration from that, and we built a little wedding registry basically for our movie, where we listed, you know, everything from the camera rentals to the bug spray and sunscreen. And we sent it out to everyone we knew. And this really interesting thing happened is people started sharing it because they were sort of excited to see like sort of the behind the scenes look at like what is it going to take to make this movie. And
Yep.
and then we ended up raising, we needed to raise $20,000. We ended up raising $23,000 in cash and hundreds of thousands of dollars in loans and gifts of things like locations and goods and services. And that really was the beginning. I started getting contacted from creators all across the country, wondering how we did what we did. And I also started getting distribution offers for the film, because all of a sudden we had built up this this email list of 458 super fans.
Super fans, wonderful. And what made them super fans, Emily?
Well, first of all, their willingness to like, many of them got involved in the movie much more deeply. Like somebody drove to set and dropped off. We were filming this movie in Maine, and if you're going to make a movie about being in Maine in the summer, you got to have a lobster bake. And this guy shows up with like 30 lobsters in a giant container and drops them off in this remote place where we were filming and says, you know, you kids have fun, and drives off. Many of them became extras in the film. But then when we premiered the film, everywhere we brought the film at festivals, we had lines down the block and around the corner for this little film with no really named actors in it. It was like a first feature for a lot of us, but they showed up and showed out through and through. And that's really what made the film possible. And they have become, you know, dedicated fans of kind of that collective who made that film, of our careers, which have all gone off in different directions ever since then.
Oh, that's so great. It became personal. They really went to the film and brought their friends and supported you.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's really interesting about crowdfunding is it's about building relationships with your audience much more than it is selling something. And I think that's what makes it unique in the world of film funding.
Yes, definitely. You are unique. I can say that from the feedback, because I always think I'm at the center of the wheel here, at the hub of the wheel, because I get information from filmmakers, whether they were successful or not. And we know that those people who work with you, what I've seen, 99% are successful, which is a fabulous track record. And actually, some say that you have a success rate of over 80% of the people that run campaigns are successful. So what factors do you believe contribute the most to this success?
Yeah, so number one is that we invest heavily in creator education and support. And so rather than like buying, I don't know, Google ads or something to try to drive people to the platform, we built relationships with arts organizations, film festivals, you know, state and local film offices across the country, to really meet creators where they are and learn about the unique challenges that may be regional, they may be cultural, they may be class-based, to be perfectly honest. Like there are so many different factors that go into challenges that creators face, and we really wanted to build a platform that really anybody could use, right? That it's not just built for creators in New York and LA. And it is my firm belief in technology more broadly that if you build for the margins, you build something that's better for everyone. So that was really our focus. And we went out and have since 2013 taught about 100 to 150 live workshops every year. in like 30 to 50 cities. And really focusing on how creators can leverage crowdfunding to build a sustainable career. And then we extend that onto the platform. So in your onboarding process, there are lots of like tip tools to help you build out your campaign the smartest way possible. And then you don't just go live when you feel like it. We have you submit, and a real live human crowdfunding expert reviews your campaign and provides feedback on everything from the pitch video to the incentives to your outreach strategy. And also, if we think you're overextending, right? So if we think you're, kind of thinking that crowdfunding is like a miracle, and you're going to raise $100,000, but you've never made anything before, and you don't have a mailing list, and you haven't built any relationship with audiences, we can also help reset some of those expectations and help creators build a slightly more reasonable pathway forward. And so I think it's really the combination of all of those things that leads to our high success rate, which these days is, I think, 80% for feature films and 93% for short films.
Wonderful. Well, tell us 3 tips for filmmakers who want to run a successful crowdfunding campaign, please.
The success of a crowdfunding campaign is won or lost in the preparation. Very much like making a film altogether, right? Your prep is really what is going to make you succeed. In this case, preparation for a crowdfunding campaign is all about audience building and audience priming, right? So if you're starting from scratch, you're going to want to start talking about your project out in the world and getting people excited about it and learning from them, how they like to find out about new projects, right? So you'll find out what social media channels make sense for you and how talking about your project really resonates with people. And then from there, you can start building, social channels or an email list or organizational partnerships that can help you reach more people faster. And you want to have all of that set up in advance of the campaign, because what we see from the data is that campaigns that hit 30% in the first week have a 90% success rate. So we really, really want to drive campaigns to hit that 30% mark in the first week. And so that means you have to have built a lot of momentum before you launch your campaign. So my tip number 1 in summary is you want to launch your campaign at the peak of your momentum wave, not at the trough, right? You don't launch a campaign and then build momentum. You build momentum and then you launch a campaign. The second is to really understand how unrelenting your communication calendar has to become. So you're sending emails, personal emails every day. You're creating cool things for social. You're interacting with the folks who have funded and followed your campaign so far. And then the third thing is to keep your community informed once you've been successful, because the real long tail value of a crowdfunding campaign is not the money that you raised for this one project. It's the audience that you build along the way. And I think a lot of creators forget about that audience. They sort of take the money and run. And then you'll see a lot of campaign updates that start with, sorry, it's been so long. And what that says is like, I forgot I had to communicate with you, and now I need something from you. I think it works a lot better if you keep people updated on what's happening, what your cast and crew are up to, where the progress is with the film, and really delivering on everything that you promised, both the film and the incentives. That's what keeps the audience close for the next project. And then they'll tell their friends about your next project, and the next project is much easier to get off the ground than the one before.
Well, this is brilliant, very good. But audience building is critical to crowdfunding. So what advice do you have for filmmakers who don't have a strong following? How can they find and engage their audience to get started?
Yeah, I think that technology, sort of the culture of big tech, has kind of ruined us all for community building, because everybody thinks in terms of such massive scale that they forget that it's possible to build something amazing with 10 people, with 50 people, with 100 people. Like, you don't need 1 million followers in order to really galvanize something if you build a deep connection with folks. So I recommend creators start in their own communities, right? Like, go to your local film festival and interact with those audiences. Go to local artist meetups and interact with those folks. Get out in the world, join things, volunteer, and then just talk about your work and see whose eyes light up and build a relationship with them and find out more about what gets them excited, and then tell them about what you're working on and how they might like to find out how they might like to see something like that. And the more you learn about like real human individual audience members, the easier it is to learn how to find more people like them. But you don't have to start big. You can find 5 people who got excited about your movie and learn where they hang out on social media, or what organizations they belong to, or who they follow, or what news they read, or even what music they listen to. I really like to find out, like, where do you watch things and how do you find out about what to watch? Because that helps you design strategies for, building and growing an audience who's really engaged. Something I like to recommend that people read, and it came out in 2009, is this article by Kevin Kelly called "1,000 True Fans." And he explains the economics, in this case for a musician, but I think it's really applicable for filmmakers as well, of if you have 1,000 true fans who are willing to spend $100 a year on you, well, that's $100,000, right? So how many fans do you really need to fund this project or to buy this movie, and start to work towards that? And I think part of that is also being strategic about how you build your own career, meaning we all have that like really big, bold, amazing project that we fantasize about all the time. But that might not be the best first project, because that's the project that you don't want to create inside a bunch of resource constraints. That's the project that you want to have like tons of creative freedom and lots of resourcing. So can you start making smaller things that can be great inside really tight resource constraints, that you can still make and make amazing? So yeah, I think it really is also about being strategic in how you grow your career and being thoughtful about not spending all your time trying to reach millions of people, but actually maybe just trying to reach 100 or 1,000 who are going to be really, really dedicated to what you're making, especially in the early part of your career.
Wow, those numbers are fabulous. That's a great way to work it, is through the numbers and see how many perfect fans, or what did you say, super fans you can get. Good. Well, I love the distribution playbook that you and Christy Marchese created. So tell our audience about it and how beneficial it is.
So the distribution playbook came out of a workshop we actually built back in 2019, called the Distribution Down Low. And we built that workshop because, Seed&Spark has always been both a funding and a distribution platform. Although now we don't handle the distribution, we partner with Kinema and other platforms for filmmaker distribution. But we were fielding so many questions that creators had about just how distribution works. And what we learned is that it felt like a black box. Like, they weren't really teaching film distribution in film school. They still aren't. I wish they would more. It just felt like everything was kind of behind closed doors, or even worse, like sealed off behind some velvet rope. And it was hard to know even what you didn't know. So we went and we interviewed a bunch of folks in theatrical releasing, in festivals, in television, and from their expertise, we built this distribution down low workshop. But in order to cover, even at a high level, the breadth of what you need to know in distribution. It was a 66 slide deck, and this workshop, if you were really going to teach it well, would take like 2.5 hours to teach. It was like the better part of a whole college course. And even though I have taught it many times live, it also felt like it was like too overwhelming and also not necessarily detailed enough to really empower creators to build strategies. It was more like a 101. And the distribution landscape is changing so fast that you can't like publish a book about it right now, because in 3 months it'll be obsolete. So Christy was having the same experience I was, which is we were spending many hours each week just on the phone with creators, talking to them about the distribution landscape and distribution strategies and who do they need to know and what platforms should they be thinking about and what are the new tools. And so I went to Christy and I said, would you be open to working on like an open source document that that's just publicly available, that is kind of like all the details and then some. So we broke out the distribution down low into almost like a choose your own adventure digital destination called the distributionplaybook.com. And then we also added a place where creators could submit questions they felt like it didn't currently answer, or people could make us aware of tools or case studies that we weren't aware of yet. And then we could update it quarterly in order to make it as relevant and up to date as possible. And so we launched that at Tribeca last year, and yeah, it's been really awesome. Just creators approach me all the time and say, thank you so much for that. It was everything I needed to know. And my favorite is when they approach me and they say, hey, there was a question that I didn't get answered, because when they do that, then we go add that information to the playbook and it becomes even more relevant for more people. So yeah, we're really proud of that effort. It was worth it, but it was really just like me and Christy ferociously typing for several weeks until we built out this full playbook that that people could explore.
Yes, and it's free, right? You give it.
Totally free. It's just, I sort of object to anything being behind a paywall that is necessary for you to make a living. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, universities should be free. And a lot of these educational tools should be free because it benefits everybody in the ecosystem. It benefits distributors if creators are really informed and strategic, much more than it does. I mean, look, the power imbalance in Hollywood is extremely intentional, right? And having creators feel clueless about distribution makes it much easier to take advantage of them.
Absolutely.
On the one hand. On the other hand, a creator that is building a really smart strategic distribution plan is going to make way more money with their project than somebody who's been hosed. And that's better for everybody. That's better for the whole ecosystem. So we just, we just wanted to kind of crack it open. And we really believe in like the rising tide floats all boats.
Right. So where do they go, Chris, to find the distribution playbook?
It's just distributionplaybook.com.
Great. It's that simple. Okay. So now, amongst all of these other jobs and creations you're working on, you have 2 films in production. RATIFIED, which is in distribution, and Jesus just kicking off. So tell us about these.
RATIFIED, it has been a labor of love. It's the hardest thing I've ever made in my entire life, and the hits just keep coming. But it's a feature documentary about the Equal Rights Amendment, the 101-year struggle for a fully ratified Equal Rights Amendment in the United States. That project has been going on for 8.5 years, and we are in the last week before we deliver completely to ITVS. It'll be distributed by Independent Lens for broadcast. And then we're in the process of setting up a deal for digital and educational, which is very exciting also. PBS, public media was always the goal for this film because this is a film about American history and American present and American future. And really, we wanted it to be accessed by as many people as possible. And public television is by far and away the best way to do that. So we're really excited, in spite of all of the horrific cuts that have come to public television. It will be released in October. And so, yeah, you can go to ratifiedthefilm.com, or you can follow our Seed&Spark page, because I do still post updates there. And then I am in the middle of a crowdfunding campaign of my own for my next narrative project, which is a short that I co-wrote with my husband, and that I will direct, called Mr. Jesus. And it is about a down on his luck actor who wakes up one morning to discover that his image has been stolen to make a generative AI Jesus, and now everyone thinks he's the second coming. And it's, I'm glad you giggled. It's really a film about what agency we have as artists and as people and as citizens of the world against the forces of AI, who are really also just people. I mean, we treat AI like it's this like cosmic force, but it's actually just like people at tech companies making decisions. So yeah, so it's a movie, I think, a little bit about how we might take our power back. But it's the beginning of a longer project, and whether that will be, serial or like long form narrative, I don't know yet.
Well, that sounds wonderful, but it's fun. And I'd love to see how you handle AI in there. It's great. But just getting ratified on ITVS is an incredible achievement. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really proud of it, and I honestly don't think I will ever make a feature documentary again. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. And also, like, we really stuck the landing with this one. We got the distribution deal we really dreamed of, and so yeah, I feel really honored. But it's also because the directors made a great movie, and that is really the key to unlocking so many things. Because I think this is sort of the uncomfortable conversation we have to have at this point in time in the film business, where everything is kind of fallen apart, is that if we want to build new infrastructure that we control as creators, we have to be offering audiences the best possible experiences. So we have to be thoughtful about what we're making, and can we make it as like high quality, entertaining as possible. That doesn't mean like super expensive to make. It just means like really high quality entertainment. And can we deliver it to them in ways that are delightful and that are more thoughtful than slapping it on a streaming platform and calling it a day? Can we really actually build audience engagement strategies that feel delightful for people who maybe don't want to spend the rest of their days with their heads in their phones?
So you build audience engagement strategies. Tell us more about that.
Sure. I mean, does the film need to tour? Is the film trying to start conversations? I think about Mr. Jesus, right? Like, what I really want to do is make a comedy that makes it easier and more delightful for people to have interesting conversations about the role of AI in our lives and society. And so we want to make this film, we want to take it on the festival circuit, but we don't just want to like, go play in a bunch of shorts programs. Like, I want to host panels in communities about AI and agency. And I want to have, we're hosting a webinar next week on August 12th with Jermaine Johnson from 3 Arts Entertainment, one of the larger management companies in entertainment, to really talk about how artists can really lead the conversation about AI. as opposed to feeling like they're being led or being forced into it. So yeah, I think you think about, what is this film really for? What am I trying to do with this film? And what are the ways that I can actually take care of the audience and the community around this film in the way that I distribute it? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It's very clear. Well, tell us what makes Seed&Spark different from other crowdfunding platforms like Kickstarter or Indiegogo, because they're coming in at 32, 34% success rates. So why do you think so many filmmakers choose Seed&Spark?
I mean, I think there's a few reasons. One is definitely the education program. So a lot of people meet us for the first time at a workshop, and we offer a lot of value in those workshops. And so even before they've used the platform, they trust that we have their best interests in mind. And then, as I mentioned before, the campaign feedback process that even further demonstrates that we really do have their best interests and their success in mind, and we build a little bit of friction on the platform to make sure that they're actually ready to launch and be successful, as opposed to what most of the platforms do, which is just like let people launch, and if they fail, they fail, right? We don't charge creators to use the platform, so it's free to use Seed&Spark. We don't take a cut of your earnings. Instead, we earn tips from backers. And so Kickstarter is well known for being an all or nothing funding platform, meaning you have to raise everything or you get nothing. Indiegogo is better known for having this sort of like keep what you can funding model, and we fall a little bit in the middle, which is that we have an 80% or nothing requirement, which is that if you hit 80% of your goal, you're going to keep your money. You're going to keep everything you raise at the end of your campaign. And while most creators raise 100% or more, that's a very useful target because it allows creators to really ask for what they need. And then we all know independent creators, like they will make what they promised for 80% if they need to. Yeah.
Okay. Well, tell us what you think are the common mistakes that you see filmmakers make when they launch a campaign.
Just not really being dedicated to the outreach. Like it is so much more intense than you think. Like I am supposed to be, one of the experts of record crowdfunding, and this Mr. Jesus campaign is really hard. It's August. And so a lot of people are away and getting attention in this really chaotic global environment is difficult. And so you have to be willing to stay top of people's minds. One of my team members surfaced for me from Amy Poehler. I'd so much rather be annoying than boring. And yeah, I think you have to lean into being a little bit annoying in how hard you are standing behind your project for a period of time. And if you're creative, you can find lots of ways to make that fun and engaging for audiences, right? Like if you look at the social media for Mr. Jesus, we have some like silly ways that our cast and crew are introducing themselves, and it's as if they're approaching Mr. Jesus's house, and so they're introducing themselves into like a Ring doorbell. We have hot and spicy takes on AI. We have blooper videos. We have like really sincere missives on artist relationship to AI. There's lots and lots of different ways that we are working to get audience members interested in what we're doing and caring about what we're saying. So that's yeah, I think that's really like you have to put your ego aside and let your creativity really lead.
Well, tell us the website for Mr. Jesus.
Oh, it's mrjesus.ai, but that will just redirect you directly to our crowdfunding campaign at this moment.
Okay. All right. So, but that's something to look at because I'm sure there's a lot of things in that crowdfunding campaign that other people can take advantage of your knowledge from that. So does Seed and Spark currently support filmmakers in other countries?
In Canada and really anywhere, as long as you have one member of your team that has a US or Canadian bank account.
Oh, great. Good to know. And so what are your plans for expansion, Emily?
That's a great question. I think the next layer that we're building is really a set of social tools so that you can do more community engagement and management on the platform, as opposed to having to take audiences off platform to really engage with them as a community. So right now there's a lot of like one-to-one, like creator to fan or fan to creator engagement. But really, if you're trying to start a conversation, you want your community to be able to talk to each other. And so that's a sort of the next big layer for us. And then further international expansion is a bit out over the horizon, 2026 and 7.
Oh, wonderful. That sounds great. Well, now tell us how people can find Seed and Spark and what they need to read and to make decisions to join you.
You can find us at Seed&Spark on pretty much all the social channels, or seedandspark.com.
Great. And it's very simple to read the instructions and sign up, right?
That's right.
Oh, how exciting. Thank you, Emily. We sincerely appreciate the information. I know from talking to people for years about Seed and Spark how much they love working with you, how proud they are to have been successful, because that's the most important thing, is to build confidence in filmmakers. And you are doing that. You're taking them by the hand and walking them through the process, explaining how to make it work and helping them achieve their goals. So thank you very much for taking such good care of independent filmmakers.
Thank you so much. I really look forward to being in touch again soon. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Okay. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Claire, for hosting the show.
All right. Now, in its second edition, Carol Dean's popular book, The Art of Film Funding, has 12 new chapters to cover all areas of film financing and how to avoid expensive pitfalls. Learn how to start with an idea and end with a trailer, how to make an ask for money, create your story structure and your trailer, legal advice, fair use, successful crowdfunding, how to ask for music rights, and what insurance you can't shoot without. Available on Amazon under Carol Dean and at FromTheHeartProductions.com. I want to remind our listeners that David Raiklin is a brilliant and talented award-winning musician who scores films and can compose music for a trio or for a full orchestra. David is a very good friend to the independent filmmaker and comes highly recommended by From the Heart Productions. If you need music to help tell your story, please contact him at davidraiklin.com. That's David, RAIKLEN.com. And Carol and I want to thank you for tuning in to The Art of Film Funding. Please visit our website at FromTheHeartProductions.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter. Good luck with your films, everyone.